We will call the second regular Ormond Beach City Commission meeting to order. It is September 20th, 2023 at exactly 7 p.m. and we are in Commission Chambers. I hope you felt welcomed as you came in tonight by our Finance Director, Kelly McGuire, and Assistant Finance Director, Chris Bile. They were our greeters this evening. And I'd like to introduce the folks who are sitting up in front of you while you're getting your speaking cards in. First, we have Recording Secretary Taylor Lockert. She'll give you a wave, and if you want to fill out a card, now's the time to get that to her if you want to speak on any item either on the agenda or not on the agenda. Next is City Clerk Susan Dodderis. From Zone 1, we have City Commissioner Lori Tolland.
Welcome, everybody.
Zone 2, City Commissioner Travis Sargent.
Good evening, everyone.
To my left and your right, we have our Zone 3 Commissioner Susan Persis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome.
Next is our Deputy Mayor and Zone 4 Commissioner Harold Briley.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Then we have City Manager Joyce Shanahan, Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley, and City Attorney Randy Hayes. Also, way to my left and way to your right, not in the corner, but just on the side, we have Police Chief Jesse Godfrey and Fire Chief Howard Bailey. For those of you listening online, I'm Mayor Bill Partington. If you would at this time, please silence your cell phones. And I would like to invite Pastor George Ward from the Emmanuel Church of the Living God to come up and provide the invocation. And if you would, please rise for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
God bless the city of Ormond Beach, a city that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From A1A and the Atlantic Ocean to the mainland west of Interstate 95, Highway 40 to Hunters Ridge, Coquina Key, Plantation Oaks, Rockin' Ranch, Riviera Club. God bless our city, our communities, and our home, sweet home. Our Heavenly Father, we're both thankful and grateful for your benevolence, your love, your grace, your protection, your provision for us. We stop to thank you for life. We thank you for family. We thank you for love. We thank you for community, and we thank you for justice. We thank you for the opportunity and the mandate that you've given our visionary Ormond Beach City Commissioners and how you have called them to build a community of integrity, a community of trust, and a community of love. We invoke your presence on the agenda, that all that will be accomplished in the spirit of excellence, unity, harmony, and togetherness. We pray, O God, that each resolution and each ordinance that comes before our leaders tonight, God, will be executed with understanding, with grace, undergirded with love. We ask your blessings upon our city officials who've been called to lead our community in which we live, interact, and work. We thank you, God, for our community being a safe haven, a place of destination that is second to none. We thank you, God, for each system that operates within our city. We thank you for the governmental, the environmental, the educational, the economical, the technological, the social, the medical, the defense, the entertainment, hospitality, industrial, and most importantly, God, we thank you for our law enforcement. We pray your blessings upon all of these proceedings, and may at the end of this meeting tonight, we can all say, God, that you were here and you did us well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
adoption of the fiscal year 2023-2024 millage rates and budget. At this time, I'll open the public hearings and ask our clerk to read resolution number 2023-146, please.
Resolution number 2023-146, a resolution adopting final millage rates to be levied for fiscal year 2023-2024, directing certification, expressing legislative intent, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2023-146, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. And per Florida statute, I'm required to state that the final millage rate for the city of Ormond Beach necessary to fund the fiscal year 23-24 budget is 3.9260 mils. This rate is 13.71% above the rollback rate of 3.4525 mils. This debt service millage rate is 0.0800 for the 2010 General Obligation Bond Sinking Fund. Any comments that anyone would like to make regarding the millage rate at this time on the commission? All right, this is a public hearing, and I do have one card. Jason Leslie.
How you doing? My name is Jason Leslie, actually running for mayor of Ormond Beach. I sent some letters to you all about my opposition to it. I'm sure all of you received it. Some of you did get back to me, so thank you very much for that. I just wanted to, put this opposition in there because, I've been a business owner for 20 years, and I have to manage a budget every month. I own 3 companies, and one of them happens to be commercial properties. And I can tell you that none of my properties have leaking roofs or any of these other structural problems. And I know some of you mentioned that the police department has a leak in a roof, and some of the other public properties do. And, so instead of sitting here complaining about it and being upset, one of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention is that this is why I think that the city should look at a zero balance budget. Now, currently, you guys run on a GASB system, and, GSAB is a little different than a zero budget, because it's a little bit more in line, I guess, with trying to help people understand from the public on where the spending goes. But at the same time, though, what it does is it doesn't allow the city to maybe go back to zero and say, you know what, let's go back to every department and find out where we need money, and where we don't need money. And I think that's how we kind of got into this situation here. In the private sector, that's how we do things. We look at where we need areas of repairs and areas of services and whatever. And, we do that either quarterly, annually, monthly. I happen to do it monthly because it's just easier for me to do my bookkeeping. So maybe that the commission can maybe make a motion tonight on looking at an avenue like that. You could even look at it as like an audit. Sometimes we have to audit things, occasionally and say, where are we spending too much money and where can we save? And I think that this would have, avoided this situation, especially in a tough time for people right now in this economy that we're dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, this is a public hearing. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak or ask questions prior to adoption of the tentative millage rate and budget? Seeing none at this time, would ask for a motion and second to adopt the final operating millage rate of 3.9260 mils and the debt service millage rate of 0.0800.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion that we accept resolution number 2023-146.
Second.
Moved and seconded. The final operating millage of 3.9260 mils is 13.71% above the rolled back millage rate. The resolution also includes adoption of the debt service millage rate of 0.0800 for the 2010 General Obligation Bond Sinking Fund. Please call the vote.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
No. The operating millage rate is set at 3.9260 mils, which is 13.71% above the rolled back millage rate of 3.4525 mils. 5B.
Ordinance number 2023-46, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for the 2023-2024 fiscal year, beginning October 1, 2023, and ending September 30, 2024, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2023-46, read by title only.
Thank you. I just need a motion and a second.
I move approval of ordinance number 2023-46.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion, Commission? Anyone else wish to speak? If not, please call the vote to adopt the budget of $120,121,116.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
No. Do I hear any objection to closing the public hearing? Hearing none, I'll state that the budget of $120,121,116 is adopted, and the public hearing is now closed. We are now at audience remarks. Before we start, thank you, I will go to our city attorney, Randy Hayes, for an update. Many of the cards that I have for audience remarks tonight are regarding the Belvedere Fuel Farm issue, county property that is located right next to Ormond Beach, and so we'll start with City Attorney Hayes.
Thank you, Mayor. We have been busy since the last commission meeting. And just to remind everybody, this project is on a proposed site that is located in the unincorporated part of Volusia County. It is not in the city. Notwithstanding that, this commission provided broad authority for me and our staff to look at issues related to the proposed project. The first issue, I guess, on the calendar is the FDEP air quality permit that Belvedere sought from the Department of Environmental Protection. So we have consulted with a lot of people, engineers, county staff, our own staff. We have talked to and engaged the firm of Carlton Fields in Tallahassee. This is a firm that this is their bread and butter. This is what they do. And they've spent a lot of time with us evaluating the circumstances regarding the issuance of that permit. And the conclusion is that everybody believes that there's a good legal basis to file an amended petition regarding the circumstances surrounding the issuance of that permit. We intend to file through Carlton Fields an amended petition in the name of S.R. Peratt by this coming Monday. Once that is done, I will provide a copy to the commission, and then we can follow that through its normal course. I don't want to get into the details of privileges that we have discussed related to this strategy, but we feel pretty confident in that amended petition. So that's what we intend to do. We have also continued to evaluate other issues in addition to the air quality permit. And there are a number of issues, obviously. There will be traffic issues, there will be wetland issues, there will be all sorts of other issues. We've talked to other potentially affected parties, including S.R. Peratt. They have been wonderful to partner up with, and we have established a good working relationship with them. We have also been in constant, sometimes daily discussions with the county staff because this is a county project. And they recently sent us an inquiry as to whether or not Ormond Beach would be willing to provide the water to this site because it's in the county. And if water is provided, then it's going to have to come from us, from the city. I indicated that I would present that question to the commission because it's a permissive legislative decision for you to consider. On the general legal requirements, you obviously have the authority to provide utilities to land within your corporate boundaries because you have legislative and regulatory authority over land in your city boundaries. With respect to land that's not in your city, but it's in the unincorporated part of the county, you have authority under Florida law to provide utilities outside your corporate boundaries. You're not required to do so. It is permissive. And a couple of ways that you can do that is through an interlocal agreement with the county or by establishing a utility service area by the adoption of an ordinance. And that's typically how we do that, right? We have both established utility service areas and we have interlocal agreements for the provision of utilities outside the city's boundary. In this instance, there is no interlocal agreement with Volusia County that would require or provide for utilities to this particular site. And the site is not located within an established utility service area that has been approved by the city. So it comes down to a question as to how the city would like to respond to the county's inquiry on the question of the water. And that's purely your discretion for you to discuss and take action on.
Thank you, Randy. And did you read the request from the county or summarize it, or could you?
Yeah, I've got it right here. So this came in Tuesday, September 12th from Clay Irvin, and it reads simply, it was directed to Stephen Spraker, myself, the city manager, the county administrator was copied as well. It says, good afternoon. We reviewed our files and did not find a confirmation or comments on the availability of water and sewer to the property. Can you please confirm the availability and identify if there are preliminary comments regarding the necessary improvements to connect? Thank you. Please let me know if you have any comments. Clay Irvin, Volusia County Growth and Resource Management. And my response back to him was simply, thank you for the inquiry. I'll present the question to the City Commission.
Thank you. And so Commission, now I'd like to have a discussion on that item since we never really get the chance to talk amongst ourselves. Out of that discussion, if there's questions for the city attorney or the city manager or the planning director, we can get those addressed, and then I would turn most likely to the zone commissioner that this property most closely abuts for any motions that might be appropriate. But I'll start and then we'll go down the line. Essentially, Randy, my response would be that not no, but heck no, this city will not provide utilities for a project that is so adverse to our residents' quality of life. I don't know if that will stop the project, but I think it's important that this company knows that we are going to battle them at every level, at every angle, at every possible time and opportunity to make sure that this project never happens, and we'll drag it out for years and spend as much money as we have to spend to make that happen. And so I'll go now to Commissioner Tolland from Zone 1, and we'll go right down the line.
All right. Well, I just want to say right now that it's going to feel really good to make this motion, and I really, really am so excited to make this motion. And thank you for those comments, Mayor, that you couldn't have said it better. But I would like to make a motion that the city has no intention or desire to provide utilities or annexation to the Belvedere Terminal project.
Second.
Moved and seconded. I wasn't sure if we were getting in, and I'll ask the city attorney, the annexation issue. I think even though they're somewhat interrelated, they haven't asked for annexation at this point. I don't know if it's better to
Keep it separate?
keep those separate, or does it?
Yeah, so let's do this. They are kind of separate issues, but they are somewhat intertwined. There could be an appropriate time for you to do that, and you would typically do that by way of ordinance. So you can address the water issue. And one thing I didn't mention, and I do want to share this with you as well. So, and I think it's section 180.02 of the Florida statutes that provides the authority, permissive authority to provide water outside your corporate boundaries. And one of the criteria in doing so is that you can consider, let me see if I can find it here, may be desirable or necessary for the promotion of public health, safety, and welfare. Think about that.
So that's another avenue.
So,
All right. I'll amend my motion that the city has no intention or desire to provide utilities to the Belvedere properties.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and so we'll continue with discussion. Did you want to add any?
Yes, obviously, this is just something, and we all know that we don't want. I mean, we've never wanted it, and just to add on to this, I do think we just need to continue this battle and fight in every way, and I really don't mind if, nobody wants to be sued, but I think that the risk of the liability is, there's more liability with having this fuel farm in our town than there is for the legislation of it. So thank you. I just want to say thank you for setting that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I think you said it better than I think any of us could. And I think this just shows that the process is working. The residents spoke. Well, first, let's back up. The issue came before us. We reacted. The residents have spoken. We are responding, and we are fighting it the best we can. And this is what's so great about America. And I've met a lot of new friends, and the fight will continue. And this is not going to happen in Ormond Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Persis.
Good evening, and I just want to thank each and every one of you in the audience that came here for your concern about this possible fuel terminal coming to our beautiful city. I think we're all against it. We've been against it. It's not right for our city. It's unsafe for our residents, for our children. It's not the right place. They need to go somewhere else and nowhere near Ormond Beach. And again, I am so proud that each of you are here to support what you believe and what we all believe. And as I said in my letter to the editor, my opinion, not here, Belvedere.
Deputy Mayor Briley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I want to echo the sentiments of my fellow commissioners. First of all, thank you all for your emails, for coming out, for expressing your concern on this very important issue in our great city. One thing I did have a question on, Mr. Mayor, and Randy, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to send a strong message to Belvedere, and it may not be this motion. I may like to make a motion after this vote is taken, but I would also like to express our opposition to any interest in annexing the property, so there's never any question if utilities are available or not.
All right. And so with that, we will call the vote on the motion, and Commissioner Sargent for a
We need to
question.
specify the address of this location.
874 Hall Road?
it is.
874 Hall Road.
And you want to include that in the motion?
Yes.
All right. And the seconder?
Second.
All right. Anything else? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Most definitely, yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor? With,
Deputy Mayor Briley, yeah.
With guidance from our city attorney, I don't know if it'd be proper to, at this time to make a motion that, as far as I'm concerned, and I think the rest of us feel that the city commission is not interested and annexation of 874 Hull Road, if the question of utilities are ever questioned.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Randy, do you want to comment on that?
Well, the only thing I'll add is you don't have a petition to annex before you, and we present that by way of an ordinance, right? So you can take the vote on this motion this evening, but if they do submit a petition, then that'll have to come before you as well. But I understand you want to send a message, so go ahead and send your message.
Yeah, we don't have minus an application, I think we're just sending a message.
May I do something a little unconventional?
I'm not sure.
I promise it's legal. I just want to say thank you to all you residents, and I'm just going to give you a stand applause for all your hard work and all your effort in opposing this. Thank you.
All right. We've got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And with that, we will now go to audience comments. Did you need anything else from us, Randy?
No, sir, that's it. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Each member who wishes to speak, member of the city, will have 3 minutes to speak. You should have filled out a card already, sign-up card. If you haven't, please get one and get it to Taylor and/or Susan. When you approach the microphone, please give your name or address. And these are the rules that we follow for public comment. This is Resolution 2022-153. It's the rules that this commission has agreed to. All remarks should be addressed to the presiding officer, me on behalf of the City Commission, not directly to any member thereof. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks, or who shall become boisterous or use offensive language, may be requested to leave the meeting. Of course, we want to hear what you have to say. Generally, I think the last 2 meetings, people have been very respectful, maybe absent one situation, and I may not have explained the rules well enough in that one situation, so I'll take the responsibility for that. But it's a delicate balance. We definitely want to hear what you have to say. We definitely want to establish a record, so when Belvedere looks at what's going on and they ask us why we're doing what we're doing, we have strong basis to do so. At the same time, none of us want to be lynched or chased out of town with pitchforks. So that's the delicate balance, if you will. And so with that, we will start with Mary Davis Johnson. She'll be followed by Connie Colby.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commissioners. My name is Mary Davis Johnson. I reside at 283 Selden Avenue. I'm coming to you this evening and I'm asking for your help in a cleanup of Selden Avenue. We have several properties that are located at the start of that street that are dilapidated. They have been vacant for...
Selden.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm coming to you tonight asking for your help for a cleanup of Selden Avenue. There are several properties on that particular street that are dilapidated. As a result of the dilapidation and the vacancy of these properties, they have overgrown yards which have violated the city codes. They have caused an infestation of rodents. We have had an increase in drug trafficking. We have unwanted transients who have come to the area because of the vacant properties. There's been a lack of care and concern for the neighbors, which has also formed a lack of care and pride in the neighborhood where many have lived for over 50 years. So we're asking for your help. I've written to Mr. Chris Mason several times, but I haven't received a response. And I can't say it's on his part because I'm not sure how the computer system works or how things are transpired, but I am asking that you will at least consider that for us, please. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mary, did you get a card either from the chief or the city manager?
No.
They'll work with you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Connie Colby, followed by Suzanne Schreiber.
Good evening, Connie Colby, 108 Roble Lane in Ormond Beach. After what I was just hearing, thank you, by the way, I did have a question about the motion that you made. Is the motion for water just for Belvedere, no water for Belvedere, or for the property, or for both? I wasn't kind of clear on that one. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about tonight is there's a right up in the paper that there's possibly going to be 997 new homes up and off of US 1 up in that direction. And tonight you also have about 6 different properties in Plantation Oaks area, which is adding up to almost 1,500 homes that are going to be up in that area. And I was wondering if you might consider a moratorium on on approving anything up in that area until the Belvedere mess is cleared up. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. Suzanne Schreiber, followed by Elena Kraft.
Good evening, Suzanne Schreiber. I'm representing Dream Green Volusia. I'm actually here with some good news tonight. International Cleanup Day took place on September 16th. Our organization team captained Tomoka State Park area. The road was cleaned up from Tomoka State Park to the Toscana area. The volunteers this year were some of the hardest working people ever. 915 pounds of trash were removed. Some of the most unusual items were 2 boxes of fluorescent light bulbs, 9 tires, furniture parts, and roof tarps. There were more glass bottles collected this year than ever in the last 2 years. 580 glass bottles, 462 plastic bottles, 439 beverage cans, and literally so much more. Some of the volunteers are in this chamber right now, and we can't thank them enough for their volunteering. Volusia County hosts international cleanup locations all over the county, and we choose the Loop. Jennifer Winters with Volusia County goes above and beyond what can be imagined, and she, as an Ormond Beach resident, chooses the north end of the Loop. So thanks again to everyone for making this a success. Now, on another note, an FDEP land conservation public hearing referring to Ormond Scenic Loop is taking place October 5th at 4 p.m. in the Volusia County Chamber. Your attention is invited to the public testimony section, which includes the Ford Marsh property, which currently sits on the Volusia Forever B list, awaiting a funding partner. The FDEP will be receiving public testimony ahead of their consideration of adding the property to the Florida Forever property list, which would make it eligible for Florida Forever acquisition funding. Florida Forever could fully fund, partially fund, or provide no funding at all on this property. It is completely undetermined. For the audience, I want to reiterate, this is not a county council meeting. This is a land conservation public hearing referring to the Ormond Scenic Loop for approximately 1,200 acres of uplands and marshland being considered for funding by Florida Forever. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Elena Kraft, followed by Ron Begin.
Hello everyone, my name is Elena Kraft. I live at 28 Old Canyon Lane in Ormond Lakes. So what do I say now after what we've just heard? I'm very, very happy to hear that you're taking important steps to put our minds at ease, that this is going to be a very tough battle for Belvedere. And I'm very, very happy about that. The only thing I still want to know is how are we going to prevent this in the future? So I'm just kind of sitting here and I realized, there were the city planning committee that met with Belvedere in June of 2022. The tone at that meeting, which we've now all heard in the audio recording, is so different than the tone we're hearing tonight here in the front. And it's not because, there's, somebody's trying to hide or you're trying to fake what you're trying to say. That's not really the problem. The problem is that we have to make sure that when those pre-application meetings come, or inquiries come to our city, that whoever is in charge of that understands what it is the same way that we all are understanding what this is. We need that to be happening. We need to know that we're represented well. So even, you know, within that period, this was more than a year ago, to raise flags, to communicate with the public, to be able to give us a chance to even, you know, do a public, to submit an opposition to the public comment period in the newspaper. So all of those things, I feel like there were some shortcomings. And I just want to make sure that we're going to have some tangible lessons learned from this experience, because we need the trust. We need you to represent us. And if anything ever happens similar to this, we want to make sure that we can prevent it early on. So that's all I had. Thank you so much. And I want to thank Mr. Hayes especially, because he took so much time to answer my questions in detail. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ron? Thank you, Ron. Mayor Don Burnett, followed by Raymond Franzem.
Hello, Mayor. Don Burnett, Mayor of City of Port Orange, 3443 Country Walk Drive in Port Orange. I am here certainly to speak about Belvedere. Wanted to let you know that Volusia League of Cities President Lois Parisky would have been here, but she has a meeting of her own, and she asked me to come and speak to you guys. Everybody should know that Mayor Partington came to the Volusia League of Cities Executive Board asking for support, and it really was a no-brainer. The entire Volusia League of Cities, I was charged with crafting a resolution of support, which I have right here, a copy of, and you already have. As of this afternoon, that vote passed unanimously. So not only do you have the entire, your own commission, but you have the board of the Volusia League of Cities behind you in this fight. It's really tough to see this project in a tract of land in an unincorporated county so close to your city. It's tough. I also want you to know that I have talked to several elected officials in numerous cities. This resolution has been distributed to all the cities in Volusia County, many of which have already added to their agendas resolutions of support. And I can tell you that the city of Port Orange has already added it to its next agenda. I broached the subject last night, and there's nobody outside of your city that isn't with you. So whatever it is that you need to do, this is not an Ormond Beach problem. This is a Volusia problem. We don't want it, not in your city, but in this county at all. And I think it's important that you all know that we're 100% behind you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor. Raymond Franzem, followed by Patricia Franzem.
Raymond Franzem, 31 Gentle Bend, Bear Creek. Concerning the June 22nd meeting, I was disappointed in this. Belvedere said 7 trucks would be coming in. And I was distressed when I listened to this because no one questioned about the trucks going out. So 7 trucks coming in, 7 going out, that's not 7 trucks on the whole road, it's 14 an hour. 336 a day, 2,352 a week. Now, they have an air quality review. Did they include the trucks in that? Right along the perimeter of Bear Creek, and, by the way, right next to the sports complex. And when the federal government just spent an enormous amount of time talking about the damage that one gas-powered school bus could do to children, we couldn't have that here. Also, I think Belvedere is quite deceptive, because 7 an hour, does that mean an average? Is there going to be as many trucks at 3 in the afternoon as at 3 in the morning? Or is it going to be loaded more in the day? But, oh, it's 7 an hour. Yes, by average. And therefore, I think Belvedere has been deceptive in what the traffic impact would be. And while we've got a motion, thank God all of you are supporting this, if it comes to it, please use the air quality of the exhaust from the trucks as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia Franzem, followed by Jeff Boyle.
Well, good evening. My name is Patricia Franzum. I'm a homeowner in Bear Creek Village, a 55-plus community here in Ormond Beach. I had to amend my notes, Mr. Hayes. Thank you very much. More than happy to hear what you all voted for this evening, and you have renewed my faith. And I thank all of you for being patient with me with all of my constant emails. I know I could be annoying, but I really do appreciate your patience and for the responses that I have received. So thank you. So I know it's not over. We won a battle, but the war still goes on. So I'll give you some ammunition to consider using. The traffic impact, which Ray just said, with 7 trucks going into Hull Road 24/7, they would also need trucks going out 24/7. This would make it impossible for Bear Creek residents to have access to Hull Road. The sports complex entrance would no longer be available to families. Emergency vehicles would not be able to get to Bear Creek or the sports complex. Health concerns. The exhaust from the trucks alone would have a negative impact on the health of the residents of Bear Creek and to the children who play in the sports complex. Fire safety. Are the Volusia and Ormond fire departments really trained to handle a fuel farm fire or explosion? Terrorism. With the airport less than a mile away and the runway heading directly towards a fuel tower, what's to stop a terrorist from flying into a tower? Or a terrorist waiting on Hull Road to shoot or bomb a truck or trucks? And unfortunately, we know that this is all very possible. So again, thank you very much for your time, for your patience, and for what you did this evening. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Jeff Boyle, followed by Ron Morrison.
Jeff Boyle, 614 North Halifax Drive. I think we can all agree that aside from hurricanes, this fuel terminal proposal is probably the greatest threat in the history of our city. And I came down here tonight to make a case for your outstanding leadership, but I think you've made that case for yourselves. I was disappointed that there were some criticisms at the last meeting that were unfair, unjust, and misplaced. But I'm also grateful to all the citizens that articulated 97 reasons why this shouldn't happen, and also did some very important research. As far as our staff, they also had a little bit of maligning comments last time. We have a world-class, award-winning city manager. We have a city attorney who for 25 years has been universally recognized as the best in the business. And every last employee in this city takes ownership of our lives and is responsible to us, and we're very grateful for that. And I don't know where else we have that kind of loyal dedication from our employees. To address Elena Kraft, that meeting in 2022 was 36 minutes. It was procedural. Maybe some questions should have been asked, but I think that we've seen great leadership here tonight. As a former 10-year commissioner, I believe that this is one of the most effective and most transparent commissions we've ever had. And sometimes it's a thankless job, but I wanted to come down here tonight and say thank you.
Thank you. Ron Morrison, followed by Lindsay Pate. Thank you, Ron. Lindsay Pate, followed by Randy Dye.
Lindsay Pate, proud Ormond Beach resident. The city of Ormond Beach and Volusia County are potentially in the largest battle of recent history. But this battle should not be against each other, rather a union against the entity of Grupo Mexico and Belvedere encroaching here. I trust the failures of how we got into this mess have not been forgotten and will be addressed. We must continue to be publicly brave to talk about Belvedere's shortcomings. In Belvedere's SPRC meeting with the city of Ormond Beach, they demonstrated an arrogance that I've never seen before. I'd like to play something for you.
Because I can tell you we are blow and go. So we are not, we had such a good meeting with the county based on our zoning and land use and whatnot.
Blow and go. They're very confident in what they want to do.
This property is actually owned by them.
Okay.
And so.
Makes it easier. Right?
Yes, correct.
I was like, I'm assuming you're working with it. You'll get one, but
they're friendly. Yeah, yes.
When you own it, or when they own it, they're friendly.
Correct.
They're referencing the land that FEC owns. They are friendly, allegedly. This is no laughing matter. We cannot be blind to how Belvedere is continually trying to play us all. Belvedere has never built a project like this before. There is blatant evidence of their unfledged project on their own website. Belvedere is such an inexperienced company. Many of their rail car and equipment photos aren't even their own copyrighted photos. Those same photos can be found on many other fuel and rail websites. Further, let's not forget FEC's parent company, Group of Mexico, has paid out $460 million in counting in EPA fines. We cannot stand with sound mind and trust their intentions and claim of being a safe company. If they truly cared, even as of a few days ago, they would stop making boisterous comments that they want to move forward with their location at Hull Road. We must meet the hubris of Belvedere with superior strategy, true teamwork between all governing bodies and the people of the public, and have a unified message that we hold more power than a foreign company with deep pockets and what I fear is potential political ties. I do want to say, though, at the last city meeting, a comment was made at the very end of the meeting. I stayed for that whole meeting. The comment alluded that the public speakers are not sworn to truth and that they can just say whatever they want. The very people that elected you here, that support you, are not here to waste your time or their time with lies. I ask you to refrain from devaluing the people's voice, whether you agree with what they've said or not. Instead, you should be empowering us to be a part of these monumental moments. Tell us how we can help. We're ready to enable because we are better together.
Randy Dye, followed by Catherine Panay. Thank you.
Good evening,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Mayor. My name's Randy Dye, 1450 North Tomoka Farms Road. I want to, first off, it's been a pleasure to watch you guys in action. Really remarkable to see and encouraging to see government work the way it's supposed to work. So you deserve a lot of thanks from myself and everybody else in this room. Well done. I want to give you a little different perspective. And I think it's important, and I know it's a matter of record, so maybe you'll be able to use it as you go forward. I have a personal experience. That's why I'm here with an organization or a facility like this. I grew up in Northwest Pennsylvania. This is a matter of record. You can see it on any news agency, any social media site you want. You can look it up. 1970, June 19. I turned 10 years old. 30 days before that, there was a fuel farm where I grew up, and it was the Amalie, A-M-A-L-I-E, fuel farm. About 10 minutes, we drove through there on a Friday. I remember it was a Friday because my mother and I went grocery shopping on Fridays, and I always got to get something cool at the grocery store. We made it through there, and about 10 minutes later, the fuel farm exploded. It blew up. I've never seen smoke like that. The news said that you could see smoke for 40 miles. I want you to understand the reality of what could happen. We've heard a lot about, maybe. This is reality. 3 people lost their lives. They were burned beyond recognition. They had to be sent to Erie, Pennsylvania at that time with whatever the forensics they had to be able to identify them. 8 other people were sent to Pittsburgh for significant burns. Not only did that happen, now here's the good news, if there is any. The good news is this was out away from people. The people that lost their lives and the people that were injured were people that worked there. And that doesn't make it okay. but it makes it a lot better than putting it beside a recreational facility or a residential community. I think just because that it's legal, in other words, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And you guys have taken the right action. And thank you. I will tell you, I've traveled the community a lot in the last several weeks, and every part of this county supports you. The business community supports you. And so we're with you, and if there's anything I can do personally, I certainly will do that, and I appreciate watching you guys in action tonight. Well done.
Thank you. Catherine, followed by Karen Delisle.
Hi, my name is Catherine Pante. I'm a Daytona Beach resident, but I have a blocked address, so can't give it out. I just want to mention something. It's going to piggyback off of what Lindsay had said in reference to blow and go. What blow and go means in the Urban Dictionary is blow and go, getting dirty work done fast and furious. Dirty work done fast and furious. That's what they meant when they said that statement. That's pretty much all I wanted to say, but as far as a foreign company on our soil, if anything were to happen with such an explosion, nobody here would be able to claim anything as far as liability. They're going to be gone. Nobody will have any protection whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Delisle, followed by Robin Magliora.
Good evening. I'm Karen Delisle, an Ormond Beach resident. Well, you have eliminated about 2 minutes and 30 seconds of my speech, and I thank you very much. As a longtime resident of Ormond Beach, so long that I remember when Harold Briley wore a sheep costume in Ormond Elementary's Halloween costume.
We need pictures.
We came in second. He was with my kids. So what I was going to talk to you about, let's stop being angry. Let's work together. You know, moms are always right, and so that went with that. I had a way to out the hometown news that they didn't deliver to Bear Creek. Okay, I also was at the Legislative Roundtable down in South Daytona, educating people as they came and went. And really, if they lived south of Daytona, they did not know about the fuel farm. And so now they did by the time they left, and Senator Wright had helpful advice too. Someone at the county council meeting last night said maybe they don't have to give them utilities. And I thought, ooh, I'm going to latch on to that. But okay, you already did too. And aside from the depot, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am. I'm a retired psych nurse, so I love children and I love crazy people, but I really love that we're not going to be the crazy people right now. So aside from the fuel depot, another concern I have is the massive number of homes being developed along Plantation Oaks Boulevard. There are 3 subdivisions there, not a tree in sight for most of the land anymore, and that of course is right off the loop. And then also the development of the property at 1845 North US 1 East Shore at Ormond, which I think is a name anomaly, but anyway, going on. They're proposing 977 homes and 359 single-family homes, 294 townhomes, and 324 multiple family units. Most important, they are going to eliminate 39 acres of the 73 of wetlands on that area. Volusia County now knows more about flooding than we did last year at this time. We cannot keep destroying our wetlands. If you ride along Old Dixie Highway getting close to Halifax Plantation, it is flooded on both sides of the roads. And that's not without, we haven't had that much rain lately. We haven't had a major storm. So please take that into consideration and continue to do the fine work you've done. My opinion of you has changed so much in 2 weeks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. Robin Magliora, followed by Jason Leslie.
Good evening, Council. You answered most of my questions. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for stepping up. I was going to tell you tonight that you work for us, we the people, that the Constitution says you do, and that somewhere along the way, politicians have forgotten that. And we, the people, have reminded you that you work for us. And thank you for stepping up and working for us. We're here for you. Look at us. We can mobilize. If you need us to do anything, you let us know. We'll be there. We'll hold signs on bridges. We'll hold rallies. We'll do whatever you need to help us get this stopped, because you have the power to do it. And we reminded you of that. And I hope that in the future that this never happens again, and that we have a way to communicate with each other, because we don't. I'll be honest, the Ormond Beach Facebook page has nothing on it. City of Daytona Beach, New Smyrna, Jacksonville, I've looked. It posts on their Facebook page all the time. Citizens, please come. Land zoning change. Please come. City council meeting tonight. Here's our city council meeting video. Please listen to it tonight. We have nothing like that. There is no communication with the citizens. And we need that. We need that. We really do. I want to thank you for your time too, Mr. Hayes. You worked very hard. I appreciate it. The one thing I do want to ask, though, this is one question. You talked about the water, whatever. Is it possible for us to eliminate the code that was created for heavy industrial? What was done? Belvedere Terminals doesn't even have any type of formal type of application to build this facility, and we've changed that to heavy industrial to accommodate them. Read the words. It basically describes Belvedere Terminals to a T. That was voted on by you. Can we remove that? Can that be removed now so that way they can't build? We won't give them water, and that property is not zoned for them to build. Is that possible?
I think staff's looking at that.
So if you
right.
could please look into
Yeah, we
that,
addressed that
I'd
last week.
appreciate it. And again, I know I've said it before, but you've stood up for we the people like you should have. I thank you. Reach out to us if you need help.
Thank you, Robin. Jason Leslie, followed by Amy Brenneman.
Hello again, Jason Leslie here. So yeah, you were definitely in a difficult situation here, and I think tonight cleared the air for a lot of people. Especially by Randy over there. Thank you. And as public servants, I mean, one of our main jobs is public safety, right? I mean, so if this is definitely a safety issue in my opinion too, and so I think that this is a step in the right direction. But I also think that a lesson learned here maybe is transparency. I think that a lot of people sitting behind me just want a little transparency on what happened and how we got here. And I think that it's okay to say that maybe I made a mistake or maybe I didn't understand something. We make mistakes. We're human. It happens. But I think that just by coming clean on that from the very beginning would have been a good step in the right direction. But we're moving forward, I think, and I think that this is a step in the right direction. But I will conclude though by saying that Randy actually made me think of something. I actually lived through a fuel farm explosion too. I grew up in a city called Linden, New Jersey, and if you ever heard of Linden, New Jersey, they have a lot of fuel farms there. And lightning struck one of the fuel tanks, and I remember that we all had to go inside our homes and stay inside, and people that lived closer, they had to evacuate. I lived about 35 miles away from it, but it just kind of came to my mind. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. So anyway, that's all I had to say because I know a lot of people want to speak tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Amy Brenneman, followed by Craig Smith. Thank you, Amy. Craig Smith, followed by Josie Colson. Okay. It's Josie.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Craig Smith, resident of Ormond Beach. First of all, thank you very much for the motion that you're undertaking to shut off the utilities. Very much welcomed. But I don't think we should underestimate the fight that we have in our hands at the moment. And it's my opinion that we need to bombard Belvedere with objections as well as roadblocks to to this project. At the last meeting, I met briefly with the city planner and asked about the airport overlay. And the response that I was given was, well, the airport has not approached the council. And I just feel that, we need to be more proactive. We need to be going to the airport and voicing our concerns and trying to, collaborate with them ahead of time, not wait for them to come to us. I think there's been a lot of, in the last month, there's been numerous objections that have been made and possibilities to fight this project. And like I said, I think we need to really take all of those actions and not rely on just one that's been motioned this evening. The second thing that I would like to raise, I was at the county commission meeting last night, and my remarks that I'm going to make are in no way to be construed disrespectful to staff in any way. We do appreciate the service to the community. But my understanding from the meeting last night was that the application was approved and forwarded by junior staff. Now, I may have misunderstood that, but there was quite a bit of back and forth between the commissioners in the meeting last night. And I'm just curious as to what, and I guess there were no directors that were present or commissioners present in that meeting. So I'd be interested in knowing what the city of Ormond Beach policy is with that. I mean, we're electing you to represent us. We're not electing staff. So are you all involved in all these applications that are being presented?
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you very
and
much.
Be happy to talk to you after the meeting. Rebecca Mangali, followed by Robert Moore.
No rides tonight. Thank you. It is freezing in here, by the way, so first and foremost, thank you for what you have proposed to do. But as we all know, we shouldn't put our eggs in one basket, so I'm asking that we look at other avenues as backup as well. The county last night, there was a lot of information. They are going to start sharing some information online. I believe they said Mondays and Wednesdays. What I'm asking is that we were told at a meeting on Monday that the county owns the Ocean Center and they're looking at having more venues throughout, more events throughout the year. Cat Williams was there, he was very good, by the way. What I'm asking is what someone else actually suggested that evening. Why don't we have a town hall or a question and answer session with the county and the city of Ormond Beach where we can basically sit there and have you all interacting and sharing with us what exactly is being done. Obviously, there's some things that can't be said outright. There's things that we're, being more discreet about, and we understand that. But as far as getting on the same page, because don't want to spread misinformation, already been accused of that. Some of the things that I heard last night don't exactly seem to mesh with what I'm hearing today, which is fine because everybody's probably working on something different, so that's fine, I accept that. But maybe just having a meeting with everyone there, we will show up as we always do, and we'll probably even bring a bus from Bear Creek to be there just to hear and have an open forum discussion of, what our concerns are. Maybe we have other people that have concerns of other things, we know that. So that's one of my recommendations or suggestions or requests. Another one is that I've spoken to a lot of people. I told you guys a few meetings back that I work in medicine. And there are a lot of people that were confused by the post that you guys put out on Facebook with the radius of, hey, if you live within this radius, please reply and let us know if you received the hometown news. Not everyone reads everything clearly, and people are thinking that because they're not within that radius, they're not affected. What I challenge you to do is find out what is the explosion radius, right? Send that map out and ask people, hey, are you affected by the explosion radius? Because I guarantee you, as this fine man said here, and someone else mentioned, I think we all are going to be exposed to something, whether we die, whether we burn, whatever the case may be. So that's something that I'm asking you to do. Send that out, let us see it, so that we could resubmit it from your site, from your Facebook page, and however we spread information, so that more residents could see what we're doing and why we're fighting. Right now, people are still confused. Let's get rid of the confusion.
Robert Moore.
Oops, sorry. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I'm just here to say I appreciate what you've done tonight, and I'm also here because I love Ormond Beach. Moved here 20 years ago. I used to work for the city. 2 years I did on patrol, chasing cats and dogs. So before that, I worked for the Port Authority Police up in New York, and I was working in every terrorist spot in New York and New Jersey. World Trade Center, airports, tunnels, bridges. And I wanted to move to a place where there wasn't a target on where I was living anymore. And I thought whoever came up with this idea to put a fuel farm next to a sports complex, next to an airport, next to a community that's a bedroom community, should be fired. I mean, this is insane. Have no regard for human life. I mean, this is a dangerous thing. So I just came out today to show my support, because I don't really come out of the house that much. I stay home with my King Charles. And I came out today because this moved me, and I wanted to come out and say I support the community, and if there was ever this thing ever goes through, I will have women and children and babies with strollers crossing that whole street 24 hours a day, walking back and forth, and no trucks will get in anyway. And as long as you're moving, you can't get arrested. So you walk across the street. I've done it before in Staten Island. They had the LNG tanks. They're still sitting there empty for 40 years. And it didn't happen because they said you'll have strollers with babies going across the intersection, and trucks won't get in, and it'll be a nightmare. So they ought to just think about going somewhere else. And I like it here. I love it here. I'm glad everybody did what you did tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
You have any more cards?
I do not.
Would it be appropriate to just comment real quick?
Sure. We'll go down the line,
Okay.
starting with you, Deputy Mayor.
I just want to, again, thank you all for coming out. Thank you all for your time and your work on this project. I do want to start by saying, you know, the City Commission has always been with you on this issue, on this item. You heard us. I don't think you heard one person up here, even in the beginning, say, hey, I want the fuel farm. None of us said that. What did take us a while, though, is we have to hear from our staff as to what we can do legally and give them the time to work with the county and coordinate with them to try to figure out how you try to kill this. So that's what has taken, I think that's what's taken us so long to get to this point, is that our staff had to work with the county staff and figure out, because they got the direction from us to go out there and talk to the county and try to figure out how you kill this thing. So it's something that bothers me, Mr. Mayor, and I think it bothers the folks in the audience too, and we've talked about this. Unfortunately, it's a little bit out of our control, but the public notice for this was in the Hometown News. And I don't think that's the largest publication in our area. I think it's the Daytona Beach News Journal. And even if they don't get a physical copy, they get a lot of people have an online subscription. So I think that was a little bit, you know, it might have been a little bit sleight of hand on part of the applicant. And then the other thing that has kind of been touched on, but I think it's important to remember too, is let's just say when these shipments of oil, gas, whatever were to be delivered to this site, even if you put those things at the front of the train, okay, this site is right at Hall Road. You have kids out there playing sports. Now, it may take an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours to unload this train. So if that conflicts with some of our sporting events, kids can't get to their events, number one, but more importantly is that they're already there. And there's some sort of emergency, we can't get emergency vehicles there. So I think that's something else that needs to be considered when they go before the county or whomever and talk about this and say, that's a public safety issue. And we have to look out for the people. That's the public welfare. We have to look out for that. And that's something else I think that needs to be considered, when they consider everything on the side of Mr. Mayor. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Persis.
No, I concur with everything Deputy Mayor Briley said. Safety of our citizens always comes first. As a former school principal, I can tell you every decision I made was the safety of my students, and every decision I make up here is for the safety of the citizens. So I'm there with you. Thank you.
Commissioner Sargent?
Sure. I'd like to answer just a couple of the questions that came up. How can we prevent this in the future from happening? I think we have learned, and I think the city manager has been, additionally to her weekly notices, she's also been sending emails. For instance, the site plan review committee met with the proposed project of 870 or 970 homes. That was an application very similar to Belvedere. And the city manager addressed it with us, so we got a special email so that we could see that. So I think that we have learned and we are addressing it. And then on the consent agenda coming up, you will see that there's a couple RFPs going out. One is for website redesign and streaming services. And that will make it easier for the residents to find the information and for staff to put information out there. There's also telecommunication services, updating the audio and video in the chambers so people at home can see it. These are all things that we need to bring transparency back to the public. So I think that this commission is doing the next steps. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Tolland.
Thank you. When you go forth, then you don't have to say quite as much. I do agree with what everybody has said up here, and you have brought the point up, Commissioner Sargent, with what we have learned, and I'm glad you brought it up that staff has been sending us emails on these projects, and I think we will get a process in place that will address that so we are never in this position again. And again, public safety is important, and the one thing I heard was we the people, right? We have never not felt like we knew who our bosses were. You guys have always been our bosses, and we do know that, and I'm sorry that you felt that you weren't being heard, but you really were being heard, and we were trying to work through the process to be able to do the first step that we need to do, which was this motion tonight. But it is still going to be a battle, and we still have to keep uniting and just keep presenting Belvedere every obstacle there is that we can throw at them. And so you all just keep up that good work. Thank you.
And I just had looked and got an email from Volusia County Chair Jeff Brower, and it says, "Dear Mayor and Commission, thank you for the bold action you are taking this evening. This indeed sends a strong message to Belvedere and your residents. Please know you have my full support." So he wasn't here able to speak, but I thought I'd at least put that in the record. And if he could have been here, I'm sure he would have. I can't say it really any better than y'all have said it. I appreciate the comments tonight. The Franzums, I've never been offended by your emails. I've always thought they were constructive, and I appreciate the help. Trucks, traffic, health and safety, fire safety, terrorism concerns, those are all excellent points. I think our staff is is working and strategizing on each and every single one of those. Learning, I think our staff is learning, I don't want to get into all the strategies, but they're learning every possible thing that a fuel farm has to do to get approved, and then they're planning their attack and hiring the experts that'll be needed to show that this is not the right location for that. Like I said, every angle, every possible method of attack, they hear you loud and clear, and they have been working on it. Government doesn't always work fast. I always have believed, and what I've witnessed in the last 20 years is that Ormond Beach works faster and smarter than most. We pride ourselves on that. It's not necessarily fast enough for you at the time, but please know that we are working, and sometimes there's things that we can't say because of strategy reasons, because of legal reasons, but we're always happy to listen and always happy to talk to you. With that, I think we're wrapped up on this item.
Mr. Mayor, just
Yes,
one last thing, a quick thing. Please continue this fight, keep going to the county, because ultimately they're going to have the decision on this. So let them know it doesn't die here. We've said what we want not to do, but they have the ultimate decision. So please keep your fight there as well.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And so we'll just take a quick 5-minute break. By 5 minutes, I mean 5 minutes, and then get back started. We'll start on item number 7, the approval of the minutes. But we're about ready to get started again, and we are on item number 7, the approval of minutes. I'll gavel us back in from the break. And Commission, these minutes are from the September 6th, 2023 regular meeting. They've been sent to us for review, also posted to the city's website. Any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Mayor, I move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and we'll show those passing unanimously. We're now on to the consent agenda, and I do have a request to pull 8C. I don't have any other requests that I know of unless a
I move
commissioner.
approval of the consent agenda minus 8C.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please call the vote.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 8C.
Resolution number 2023-149, a resolution accepting proposal from Hoyle Tanner and Associates, Inc. regarding the conduction of an aeronautical survey and preparation of an obstacle action plan for the Ormond Beach Memorial Municipal Airport, authorizing the execution of a work authorization and payment therefore, and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2023-149, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. I have a card starting with Sharon Trescott. Because it's on consent, there's not really a presentation. So if you want to speak. Yes, ma'am.
Sharon Trescott, Ormond Beach. I'm not going to probably be able to have you all understand me this evening with what I wanted to present. However, I'm here to ask. I don't know if you all realize what we've been through for the past 3 years. I'm a county resident, and there's been a runway extension, and it's been 3 years of fight and back and forth with FAA. Much information was provided to them. This is something new they haven't gotten, but I'm going to ask if you all don't want to withhold the grant or the money to Hoyle and Tanner. I'm going to ask you to stay it maybe and learn more of what you probably do not know that's gone on with FAA and us as far as information that's been provided, discrepancies, misinformation, and so forth, to learn more. I don't know why this company has been the only company. They are the ones that did your the ALP and the master plan and the environmental for your grant, and you've ended up losing that grant August 12th of 22. 3 years of information that we provided them that was different from what your consultant gave them. One thing I have right now is page 13. That's part of your ALP, and is to be an accurate document and kept current at all times. I'm going to tell you there's a mistake on this. I always stand to be corrected if I am. You have a boundary and measurements that are not right. This is yours, that was Ormond Beach, and this one is right. 1962. The difference that has been calculated for me is almost 6 acres, and that's your ball fields. I think there's more that you all need to look into and get some answers. The paper I left with you all, the master plan has 1,164 acres that your airport's to be. I don't know how they arrived at that when the government gave you all 1,141 acres. And I've seen that original survey that was done by Robert M. Angus, and he called it was Tomoka Field of 1942. And I think you'll learn all the more. There's flight operations that are were highly elevated compared to facts. So I'm just going to say, please do not award this to Hoyle and Tanner tonight. If you all want more of this information, I'll be happy to give you. I have some copies of the original survey for the 1942 survey. So I don't know what else I can ask for, and I don't think you all have really realized what we've been through out there, and we were never notified, and I'm an adjoining property owner by 300 feet.
Thank you, Sharon. Lindsay Pate.
Lindsay Pate, proud Ormond Beach resident. And as I've been investigating the history of why we do what we do and the city's mindset and who they use, I ask, in an effort to promote healthy competition and introduce new opportunities to other businesses, have you asked other engineering companies a chance to bid on this project? From what I've been finding, Hoyle and Tanner and Associates seem to be used a lot. And I'm not sure why. I'm not a civil engineer by trade, but I'm just curious if there's ever been a bid submitted by another company, and if not, then why are we not opening an opportunity to other people? And if there hasn't been, does Hoyle and Tanner Associates' track record substantiate the repetitive use of their services?
Thank you, Lindsay. And Rebecca Mangali.
Kind of piggybacking off of that as well, not certain how you go about getting those bids, but if we could, with competition, we have better choices. Using one company is just essentially monopolizing that, allowing that company to monopolize this area. So we just need more competition, get more bids, ask other companies to be involved in this. And kind of piggybacking off of the fuel terminal a little bit, obviously this has to do with the airport expansion project, and we've already got issues with noise there, planes. Now we're gonna have a possible fuel terminal. I just think we gotta take a step back and kind of look at everything and just figure out where are we going with this. And that's it.
Thank you.
Just a quick question. On the Hoyle Tanner situation, I know they've been used quite a bit on the airport, but I guess my understanding is, one, that they've got historical data on the airport because they've been the engineer of record on the airport, but I think they're somewhat specialized because not a lot of engineering firms, and Stephen, you may be able to answer this question, not every engineering firm is specialized or has a lot of FAA experience, and I guess Hoyle Tanner does. Is that correct?
Let's hear from Stephen Licklider.
Stephen Licklider, Airport Manager. Yes, sir, they do have specialized experience, but more specifically, Hoyle Tanner specializes in smaller general aviation airports. There are a number of firms in Florida and the United States that have expertise in aviation, and we have several firms under continuing contract to help us with the airport. GAI, for example, is working on the golf course project that we're working on now. We've had work from Avcon. They built our taxiway golf a few years ago. But one of the reasons why Hoyle Tanner has been our primary consultant It's because of that specialization for general aviation, smaller airports, and the fact that they have more inherent knowledge of our airport than any other firm in the state.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, if I might speak.
Yes, City Manager Shanahan.
So as you know, we have continuing service contracts with a variety of different providers. And every, I think, 3 to 5 years, we bid those out, and they're awarded by each individual disciplines. And coming to this commission, I think in the next, this meeting, at the next meeting, will be a request to bid out all of those continuing service contracts, from everything from construction to aviation to engineering to whatever. So you will have that opportunity to bid that out at your next meeting, and then we will bring all of those bids back to you after we've evaluated them. It's about a 6-month process because there's probably 15 or 16 different continuing service contracts, and you might get 3 or 4 bids for every type of contract. So that is a routine procedure that we do here at the city. It's fully transparent. You'll have access to all that information.
I'd be fine waiting to do this until we get that back. I mean, whatever the will of the commission is. I'm not overly impressed with Hoyle Tanner. I think that's been some big concerns raised about their work, and I'd like to hear more about what Ms. Trescott has to say as far as inconsistencies. Maybe she's right, maybe she's wrong, but I haven't seen anything impressive out of Hoyle and Tanner in the last few years. It's been a lot of money. Of course, it doesn't cost us a lot of money. You know, it's only $2,374 for this amount of work, which in the scheme of things is a lot. The total amount is huge, $118,700, and it's all taxpayer dollars. That's the bottom line. So, Commission, I don't have a motion on this item. I guess we could move to continue it, or if you want to take action on it, whatever your preference is, or if you have more questions.
Mayor, I have a question before we make a motion.
Commissioner Todd.
So, from my understanding, this obstacle survey is something that we're mandated to do, correct?
So the Florida Department of Transportation requires us to do a survey of obstacles that are in or around the airport in the landing zone.
Okay.
And then they identify that, and we have to then put them on a map, a GIS map. And so that's what they would be doing, is identifying those and putting them on the map.
And is there a time frame when this has to be done, a date that this has to be completed by?
I don't know that. Please step up.
I'm just trying to see if we have time to do the bidding process to get this done, or if it might have to go in another cycle.
Gotcha.
Good evening, Brian Rademacher, Director of Economic Development. The answer to that question is the purpose for doing this study is a result of the airport inspection that FDOT did in February 14th of this year, where they identified obstructions off of the ends of the runway, and they asked us to do the GIS survey to identify those obstructions and then to be able to remove them for the safety of the flying public. When the report was given to the FAA, they also responded saying that this was a high priority for the FAA, that these obstacles be looked at, and that is why we're moving forward with grants that you see and approved several meetings ago, and then this work authorization today.
So was there a time frame now when a high priority, does that mean by the end of this year, or?
Typically, when items are identified during the FDOT inspection, the anticipation or hope is that those issues that were identified are resolved prior to the next inspection, which would be February of 2024.
Okay, thank you.
We have time, Mr. Mayor.
It seems like we have time, but Commission, obviously, it's up to you. This is, we can take a motion, I guess, to table this.
I think we should. I move we table this item.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote on tabling 8C.
But before you, is that for time certain or for how long?
Who made the motion? It was
I did.
Commissioner
I
Persis.
How
Did you want to,
2 months?
what's a good amount of time?
A couple of months?
If
90
we're going,
days?
I think we'd at least leave 90 days at a minimum.
Okay. I move we table this for 90 days, this item for 90 days.
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Thank you, Randy. And any Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And we will now allow comment on any of the consent agenda items, starting with Commissioner Sargent.
I'd like to comment on 8D, our insurance. Thank you, Steve Farmer and Don, for providing us with this insurance, even with this crazy market. I appreciate you, Steve, sitting down with me on Friday and taking the time to go through it. I know it wasn't easy this year. Hopefully we'll see relief in the years to come, but thank you. That's all, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Yep, it's been a brutal year. Commissioner Persis.
Yes, I also would like to thank Steve Farmer for meeting with me and explaining me all kinds of things about the insurance market right now. Thank you, Steve.
Anyone else?
Ditto.
Thank you. All right, we will now move to public hearings. I'll open the public hearings and ask the clerk to read 9A, please.
Ordinance number 2023-47, an ordinance amending section 22-23, minimum meter rates generally, 22-24, multiple minimum charges, 22-71, service charge established, 22-136, minimum water rates, and 22-137, minimum wastewater rates of Chapter 22, Water and Sewers of the City of Ormond Beach Code of Ordinances by increasing the minimum water and sewer rates, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2023-47, read by title only.
Thank you. Commission, I don't have any cards.
I move approval of ordinance number 2023-47.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions for Kelly? Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 9B.
Ordinance number 2023-49, an ordinance amending section 1-14, development orders and building permits of Article 2, administration and enforcement of Chapter 1, general administration of the City of Ormond Beach Land Development Code by adding requirements for certificate of use, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, providing for severability, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-49, read by title only.
Thank you, and I'll ask Planning Director Stephen Spraker to brief us on this item.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker, Planning Director. This is a request to amend section 1-14 of the Land Development Code. As we are preparing for our conversion for our permitting software into Tyler, one of the things that was noted was there is an intertwine of a certificate of use and a business tax receipt. They're really two separate items. A business tax receipt is really just a tax, it's a fee. A certificate of use is meant to provide a zoning review, and that review can happen at the very beginning. When a business comes in, they're interested, they can go through this verification of use. So what this land development does, it separates and clarifies what a verification of use is versus a business tax receipt. Again, business tax receipt is just a tax to operate the business. Verification use is more of a zoning review. Does have some licensing and some fire inspection in it too. The planning board did recommend approval with a 6-0 vote, and staff is available if there are any questions.
Thank you, Stephen. I know nobody spoke for or against at the planning board, and I do not have any cards on this item tonight.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 9C.
Ordinance number 2023-50, an ordinance approving the final plat for the Archers Mill Phase 1 subdivision shown within Phase 3 of the Plantation Oaks planned residential development, establishing conditions and expiration date of approval, and setting forth an effective date. This is the first reading of ordinance number 2023-50, read by title only.
Thank you. I'll ask our planning director, again, Stephen Spraker, to speak briefly on this item.
Good evening, Stephen Spraker. This is a request for our final plat. It is within the third phase of the Plantation Oaks planned residential development. If you recall, Plantation Oaks was originally approved in Volusia County as a result of utility connections they annexed into the city of Ormond Beach. One of the things that was done, the former golf course was made into lakes, some additional lots, and what they did is they restricted the use to single-family homes. Previously, they were also allowed to do manufactured homes. So this is US 1 at the very top of the screen. Plantation Oaks Boulevard cuts through here. This is Old Dixie Highway here. So phase 1 is located right here, almost immediately across from the manufactured home section. They are under construction today for 94 lots on about 42 acres. The process for the subdivision process started with the zoning that the city assigned after annexation. They went through a preliminary plat with resolution 2332, so that allowed them to start construction. And now they're about halfway through, and the final plat is the legal document that allows them to subdivide land. It was included in your packet. It's been reviewed by an independent city surveyor, it's been reviewed by a site plan review committee, and it's been reviewed by our city attorney's office. Planning board recommended approval 6-0 of this item, and the applicant is here if there are any questions.
Thank you, Stephen. I don't have any other cards other than the applicant, if anybody has any questions.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move approval of ordinance number 2023-50.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 9D.
Resolution number 2023-153, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, approving the preliminary plat for Archer's Mill Phase 4, shown within Phase 3 of the Plantation Oaks planned residential development, establishing conditions and expiration date of approval and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2023-153, read by title only.
Thank you. Again, I don't have any cards.
I move approval of resolution number 2023-153.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions, Commission? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 9E.
Resolution number 2023-154, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, approving the preliminary plat for Archer's Mill Phase 5, shown within Phase 3 of the Plantation Oaks planned residential development, establishing conditions and expiration date of approval and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2023-154, read by title only.
Thank you. And again, no cards. Just need a motion and a
I'll
second.
make a motion that we accept resolution number 2023-154.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions for either Stephen or the applicant? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 9F.
Resolution number 2023-155, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, approving the preliminary plat for Archer's Mill Phase 6, shown within Phase 3 of the Plantation Oaks planned residential development, establishing conditions and expiration date of approval and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2023-155, read by title only.
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. 9G.
Resolution number 2023-156, a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Ormond Beach, Florida, approving the preliminary plat for Bradford Lakes, shown within Phase 4 of the Plantation Oaks planned residential development, establishing conditions and expiration date of approval and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2023-156, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. Again, no cards.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to make just a comment, just for transparency for folks in the audience who are
Absolutely.
hearing these things on Plantation Oaks. This was a project that was approved as a development of regional impact back in the late 1980s. And this project was initially approved in Volusia County and was annexed to the city of Ormond Beach primarily because of requests for utilities. What the city did was applied similar zoning districts. In fact, there were some changes made at the behest of the applicant, which actually benefited both the county and the city at the time. And so basically these were, when that development of regional impact was approved in the 80s, they were guaranteed and Parker, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you had a certain amount of guaranteed a set density. And I think you're actually building less than that density if I'm not mistaken. So just want to kind of give that as transparency as to what we're talking about this evening.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, the preliminary plat is just a technical review of the subdivision of land, which verifies consistency with the planned development. And the Plantation Oaks subdivision has been, like you said, Deputy Mayor, planned with multiple public hearings through both the development of regional impact and our planned development process here in Ormond Beach. So it's been through the process for years, and then this is the final technical review. I don't have any cards, just need a motion and a second.
I move approval of resolution number 2023-156.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes, and we will, thank you, Parker, close the public hearings, move to 10A, second reading of ordinances.
Ordinance number 2023-48, an ordinance amending Chapter 10, Solid Waste, Yard Waste, and Recyclables, Section 10-16, Fees for Collection and Disposal established of the City of Ormond Beach Code of Ordinances by increasing fees for the collection and disposal of solid waste, repealing all inconsistent ordinances or parts thereof, and setting forth an effective date. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2023-48, read by title only.
I don't have any cards on 10A.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes, and we are now at resolutions, and I would ask the clerk to read 11A.
Resolution number 2023-157, a resolution pursuant to Section 8-4, subsection 8, liens of the City of Ormond Beach Code of Ordinances, authorizing the imposition of a lien against the real property located at 189 Highland Avenue, Ormond Beach, Volusia County, Florida, parcel ID number 4215-06-02-0150, for costs incurred by the city to demolish an unsafe structure and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2023-157, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. I don't have any cards on this item.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion?
I have a question.
Commissioner Sargent.
I have a question on A and B. Just trying to figure out where they come up with their prices for the demolition, because one is at 5,000, one's at 10,000, 9,000. Just where's the difference come in? Their invoices aren't very clear.
Right, so our chief, again, Stephen Spraker, plan director, our building official solicits bids for the structures. 189 Highland was not that big of a structure versus compared to 70 at Hidden Hills. So the size of the structure really delineates what the demolition cost is. So it's competitively bid,
Sure.
and then basically they take the lowest.
It'd just be nice if their invoices reflected a 25 square foot home or a 1,500 square foot where you could see that.
We can add
Just
that to the future agenda items.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great. All right, so unless anybody has any other questions, we'll,
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution number 2023-157.
Second.
moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. 11B.
Resolution number 2023-158, a resolution pursuant to Section 8-4, subsection 8, liens of the City of Ormond Beach Code of Ordinances authorizing the imposition of a lien against the real property located at 70 Hidden Hills Drive, Ormond Beach, Volusia County, Florida, parcel ID number 4219-01-15-0410, for costs incurred by the city to demolish an unsafe structure and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2023-158, read by title only.
Thank you. Again, I have no cards.
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion or questions? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Briley,
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland,
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent,
Yes.
Commissioner Persis,
Yes.
Mayor Partington.
Yes. And we are now on reports, suggestions, and requests, and we start with City Manager Joyce Shanahan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, staff would like to request a workshop for October 4th for Casson Park to show you an updated plan of Casson Park.
October 4th.
October 4th at 5:30.
I'm good with that.
Does that work for everybody? October? October 4th is a Wednesday.
That's
Yeah, it's a
before a
Wednesday.
commission meeting, right?
Before we commit.
Yeah, and just a reminder, it's on a Wednesday because we have National Night Out that Tuesday.
The 3rd.
Okay.
That
So,
works.
Good. Secondly, we're requesting a special meeting for Hunter's Ridge DRI. We had originally scheduled a date, but the developer has a religious holiday conflict, so some of the dates that we could come up with are October 25th and October 26th. Do either of those dates work for you all?
Both work for me.
I'm good with
That's a
either.
Wednesday and a Thursday.
Thursday, I'm out of town, but the 25th, I'm fine. October, right?
October 25th is a
5th or
Wednesday,
26th, yep.
Yeah.
and October 26th is a Thursday.
25th is better for me, but
I'm
I'm good with whatever.
I'm good either day.
5:30? Okay, so we can schedule it for October 25th at 5:30?
Is everybody good with that?
Thank you so much.
5:30, that's the DRI, Hunters Ridge DRI?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
And we'll notify the applicant. Just want to say that how very proud we are of Ormond Beach Police Detective Jessica Fowler. Detective Fowler was honored earlier this week as the Ormond Beach Police Department's nominee for Crime Stoppers Officer of the Year. She does exemplary work, and we're very proud of her. There was lots of good candidates, so unfortunately we couldn't take home the win, but she's always a winner in our eyes. National Night Out, as I just spoke, is going to be on Tuesday, October 3rd from 5 to 8 p.m. at the Casements. They're trying a different venue, which has a little bit better ingress and egress to accommodate all the fun activities that we have for the kids and their families. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have tonight.
Any questions for the city manager?
Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley.
Good evening. I just have one more scheduling request regarding listening to the Tomoka Reserve project. It's due at the Planning Board next Tuesday, September 26th, so we anticipate it will be coming to the commission after that. I have a couple of dates. They've been narrowed down due to location availability, so the two dates I wanted to check with you are Thursday, November 2nd. That would not be on a regular commission day, and the start time would be 6 p.m. If you would like to look at a regular city commission meeting date, we can look at Tuesday, November 7th, also with a 6 p.m. start time, although I do need to still confirm a location for that date. So if you want to let me know your preference, if either or both of those work for you. Not the 2nd, okay.
I'm good with whatever.
I am too, but I'm a little concerned. We may have to have two meetings that week only because I don't know, especially with the way the planning board has gone with at least two meetings, especially the first meeting was 5 hours. I don't know if we'd have enough time to get our regular business done because if it's held at Calvary, they have to be out there by 11 o'clock, so.
I'm good with the 7th, I think staff probably can work with our agenda to keep it as light as possible, understanding
we
that
can move items.
Tomoka Reserve will be the main event. We could at least try, and if we need to stop and continue it. One thing I won't likely do is go past 10:30. I just don't think it serves anybody to be if we start at 6, to be in a meeting for more than 4 hours, 4.5 hours, at some point, it's just the law of diminishing returns. I don't agree that that's a good way to run a government. So if we have to stop it and continue it at some point, or what are our November meeting dates? Is it the 7th and the?
That's the only one.
Okay, just the one. And if we had to do something, maybe that next week, or maybe another night, the next night, I don't know what the availability is, but if you could check on that as well, Claire.
Okay, great. I will confirm once we secure the location, but we'll work on that November 7th date, 6 p.m. to 10:30, hard stop.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. City Attorney Randy Hayes.
I just want to thank the commission for its leadership on the fuel farm issue and for the authority and direction that you previously provided. I know this is very frustrating for everybody. I can assure you that staff has been spending endless hours and weekends and nights working on this, and we do our best to keep you informed on new updates as they occur. A problem with doing business in the public is there's certain things you cannot talk about in the public as it relates to these things, and understandably the residents can get frustrated with that, but you know that we have a plan, and we continue to develop it with new information, and we will keep you informed. We will talk about updates publicly to the extent that we can. But there's going to be some things that we cannot disclose publicly, but to you we will do that. And just to illustrate the coordination between the city and the county staffs, as we were in the audience remarks here, I received a call from the county attorney on this issue. And I couldn't take the call, obviously, because I had to tell him we're in a commission meeting. And so I will call him tomorrow. So we are continuing to coordinate our efforts on this issue. So, like the county chair did with the mayor, of course. But that's just another example that, the staffs from the city and the county are working closely on this issue. The county's in an interesting position because they are the reviewing agency of an application. So a bit more constrained than we are, but we're certainly going to be a vocal voice all the way through this, and it may take some time. Projects like this typically do, but there will be an end date at some point, and we're going to be at the end of that at the appropriate time, and we will keep you informed, and when we have decision points for you to make, then we'll come back to you for those decisions. But thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Randy. Any questions for Randy? All righty. And tonight, we start with Commissioner Sargent.
I only have 3 pages of notes tonight.
But they're little pages.
First and foremost, it was great to go to the Crime Stoppers annual banquet and to have Detective Jessica Fowler there. Unfortunately, she did not win, but I think Ormond Beach won the last 2 years, so it's kind of difficult to win 3 in a row, I'm sure, but she does a great job for the city of Ormond, as do all of our police officers, so thank her and all the other police for what they do for our city. Thank you to Kelly and Chris for helping us get through the budget season. It's never easy, but y'all always do a great job, and thank you. Tonight on the consent, we approved the RFPs to go out for the website design, the chamber audio and video, telecommunications system upgrades. These are all things were kind of on my campaign to get done, priorities for me, because I do believe that all of these will help breed and bring the transparency back. Not that it wasn't here, but to amplify it, if you will. And And thank you to Public Works. We had an issue. Our corporate office just moved to a new office on Granada. There was a water issue, and Public Works came out and addressed it. And Rich Cooper came to me yesterday, actually, and said, thank you so much to city staff for getting out in a timely manner and handling it. I don't know what the issue was, but he was pleased. So, awesome. And thank you to all of city staff for all you do. There's a lot that goes on. The residents get upset because they might not hear things, but I really believe that everyone up here and at the city staff level has the city's best interests at heart. So thank you. And last but not least, my son Everett got the game ball tonight, and one game I missed, and I just got a picture sent to me. So with that, I'll say goodnight.
Good stuff. And thank you, Commissioner Persis.
Thank you, Mayor, and congratulations, Commissioner Sargent. That's a big deal. I'm very proud of him. I want to just say a few things. I've got several things, Commissioner Tolan, so I've got my little list here going. But no, I'm very happy that we have the lien on 70 Hidden Hills. It's near my house, and that house burnt down, I don't know, a year ago, and it was just, on the street with big holes in it. People were going in there getting hurt, I think, and it was just very dangerous, and nothing happened for such a long time. But finally, they tore it down last week. So I was just very excited to vote on that. So I just had to add that in there. But I've been busy going to a lot of places. First, I went to Exit Issues at the Halifax River Yacht Club and learned a lot what's going on in other cities, so it was quite informative. I attended the Florida League of Cities Policy Committee meeting, and I am on the Utilities, Natural Resources, and Public Works Committee. And what we do is basically what we're going to do this year is we're going to work on our statewide, what our statewide concerns should be in that area. We're going to develop one legislative policy and develop one policy statement under the heading of utilities and natural resources. One thing we really talked about was the issue about water, how important, we need water to live. So we talked at length about water and its importance. And basically, we need $66 billion over the next 20 years to address water resource protection and infrastructure needs. So it's something that I'm going to really keep my eye on.
Billion.
Billion, yes, billion. Did I say million?
No, you said billion.
Oh, okay,
Billion,
I said billion, thank you. Okay, anyway, so I will keep everybody posted on that. I attended the Volusia Delegation Roundtable. We heard Senator Wright and our local state legislators speak about what they worked on during the session and what they felt what was important. It was very enlightening. It was a wonderful session. And I was lucky enough to attend the Crime Stoppers annual banquet at the Daytona 500 Club, and we got to see Jessica Fowler, Detective Jessica Fowler, get nominated, and we were very proud of her. She didn't win, but like Joyce Shanahan said, she is a winner in our eyes for sure, as all our Ormond Beach police officers are. They're just the best. We are so fortunate. And I think that is all I have tonight. I hope everybody stays safe and has a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner, Deputy Mayor Briley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I, too, want to pass along my congratulations to Detective Fowler for being nominated. Unfortunately, I was not able to make the event, but and unfortunately she didn't win. But again, I think as everyone else has said, she's number one in our book. So she's a winner with us. I want to thank staff, as Commissioner Sargent did, for all the work they've done on this fuel farm project. There are a lot of stuff goes on behind the scenes. There's a lot of stuff that they do that I think, as our city attorney has mentioned, they can't divulge a lot of strategy, but we're working toward the same goal. So again, I want to thank the residents for being here tonight and expressing your concerns. I also want to thank I'll preface this. September is Realtor Safety Month, and of course realtors sometimes are vulnerable to certain safety issues, having open houses and what have you. And yesterday was we have quarterly board Board of Realtor breakfasts. And yesterday on Chief Godfrey, I was able to rope Chief Godfrey into being our speaker and speak to us about how we can be safer as realtors and just be safe. So Chief Godfrey, thank you again for doing that. We really appreciate it. Lastly, Mr. Mayor, something that may help in the future, I don't know. I've brought this up before, and I just don't. I know that the staff's been very busy with this fuel farm and some other issues, but I still believe, it's my belief, that to help to maybe assist in transparency in city government and to help our residents understand better what happens, is the city sponsoring or hosting an annual, at least once a year, it could be twice a year, Citizen Academy, which would be at no cost to the residents. I know the county has one, the city of Port Orange has one. I know I've discussed it before, and I think staff's working on it, but again, I know that they've got a lot more pressing things, but I still think that's a great idea that our citizens could sign up for. They could attend. Part of the curriculum could be, sitting in on an SPRC meeting and just seeing how the whole process works. So, I think they would have a better understanding of how projects go from here to the ground level and get to us.
I think that's a great idea, and maybe we can even elaborate it and incorporate the chamber, because they do those classes,
Well, they do the leadership academy, but it costs the residents. I think it's like $400
yeah, but maybe
per
it can be city sponsored or work in conjunction with them somehow, or
I'd
maybe
rather have the city do it on there,
Okay.
because the other cities, I don't believe, use the chambers. I don't think they get involved.
I think education's important.
Yeah,
for sure.
Anything else?
That's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tolland.
Thank you. I'm going to switch it up a little bit and I want to first, I more importantly and most importantly want to thank my fellow commissioners. We always thank everybody else, and I will do that as well. But I want to thank you guys for the diligent work and the caring ways that we represent our residents. I know we all get individual letters. We talk to residents, we listen to phone calls, and I know in my heart that you guys do the work and that you care about this place. So I just want to thank you all for that. I do want to do a shout out to Chris and Kelly for the budget. I was really happy that it passed. As you all know, I was championing some of those increases, the R&R budget, and especially really proud of those dedicated funds for leisure services. So I expect leisure services to do great things with the money that they now have. I'm also appreciative of the time and effort that all the residents, have put into their passion and their advocacy for the things that are important to them, i.e. opposing Belvedere. And I'm also appreciative of staff, that they keep working to help us fight against Belvedere. I think this was a win tonight, the very beginning of a win, and I was really pleased to be able to be a part of that. And it's a battle that no one wants to lose, so we just got to keep diligent and keep working towards that. I am City Manager, appreciative of the weekly reports that you are now including that SPRC. I think that is the beginning of a new process for us, so we can kind of keep a handle on that. I'm also happy that the Casson Park design is moving forward, and I'm looking forward to that being on our agenda for a vote in the near future. I do want to applaud Sean Finley for his informative presentation to the citizens for Ormond Beach. He did a very nice job explaining stormwater management. He wasn't able to really do a slideshow, but he did a very good job presenting the project. I'm in all of our police officers that were recognized at Crime Stoppers. I mean, it was from all over the place. It was my first time, so it was quite an eye-opening experience of the work that they really do. I mean, you read about it, it seems like stories, but it's real life.
It's the safest
And
dinner of the year.
Hmm?
It's the safest dinner of the year.
Yes. And, of course, we're extremely proud of Jessica Fowler for work well done. I do want to shout out to the Dream Green, Suzanne Schreiber. Being part of the Regrow the Loop, I was aware of all the intercoastal cleanup initiative. There was two big ones in Ormond. One was the Tomoka State Park, which Suzanne was part of, with 915 pounds of garbage. And then the coastal cleanup, I got a report that they picked up over 1,000 pounds of garbage just on the beach. It just blows my mind. I also want to thank the Volusia League of Cities, particularly Don Burnett, for coming and telling us that they give us their support as well to oppose Belvedere. One announcement and then one request. Announced that the Regrow the Loop tree giveaway to those people that pledged is going to be at the EDC on October 14th. It's not too late to sign that pledge if you want to learn how to be a good steward of the environment and receive a free tree. And then my request is, and if this is something, if you all agree in support of, can we write a letter of support of the Ford Marsh property in Volusia Forever, that we support Volusia Forever protecting that property? Is that something you all think was a good idea?
I think so.
Well, I thought we bought it. It's not protected? Oh, Penland.
This is another piece of property that will extend. It's in the sensitive area of the loop area.
Yeah, no, I agree with that then.
All right. So staff, would you like to?
Just draft something.
Want me to bring it back to you, or?
I'm okay. I think I'm comfortable if the mayor can sign it and you draft it.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you all. I really appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, I just want to say good night and thank you for allowing me to serve you and the city.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't have anything. You guys did a great job covering everything. The only Commissioner Briley's Citizen Academy idea, I saw a lot of heads nodding.
Yeah.
Joyce, the budget just passed. I know you haven't budgeted anything for that, and it's an additional item that's not on our attack list of things to get done. And so I don't know the best way to approach that, whether we want to put it on the to-do list for our next brainstorming session for next year's goals, or if you want to do a survey to our residents to see who would be interested in participating in that if we offered it. Start maybe with a bare bones kind of staff-driven academy, and then you could ramp it up in additional years and actually put it in the budget and make a place for it. I think our staff would be happy to help facilitate that, just like the county staff and Port Orange's staff do. I think it's a good thing if there's interest in it. I just don't know.
I'm sure there'll be interest. What I would suggest is that you give staff a little time to put together sort of a plan, and it would traditionally be held by staff, various departments, and give them expertise in various areas. So there's lots of go-by models out there. I'm very familiar with a lot of those programs. So let us take a look at it and maybe bring it to you back by the first of the year.
Commissioner Sargent.
Is that something that we could potentially have businesses sponsor to offset that cost?
Well, the cost really is staff time. Most of it's staff time. I mean, you'll have some, refreshments or something like that, but I think it's mostly staff time. Well, let us work up a plan.
Florida Gun Exchange could sponsor the target practice. Don't get us started brainstorming. I think, Joyce, if you can bring something back to us in the next few months, that'd be perfect. Along those lines, I know Commissioner Persis has tried to get kind of a student, young person citizen academy going, and I think that's a great idea as well. I'm not saying do that right now, but something just to keep in the back of your mind. It's like to get people involved in government, unless you have a big issue like Belvedere, nobody cares. And it's like pulling teeth to get anybody to come out. Nobody was at the June 22 meeting. When you talk about transparency, anybody could have been at that meeting. It's totally wide open to the public and online, so it's even easy to get there. And nobody was there that could have sounded the alarm if they knew what was going on. So getting people involved, I think, is part of our job, and those are the kind of things that we can do. And I think starting with our youth is critical, and then a regular Citizens Academy just open for anybody that's interested is also critical.
And I would just say that the Chamber of Commerce does a leadership academy with the high schoolers, and we participate in that. We have a government day to do that. So I think that's a great start right now, is working cooperatively with the Chamber on that.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, we are adjourned.